Hi, welcome to episode 9 of This Might Not Work Out podcast. I'm your host, TC, and today I just wanted to talk really quickly about something that my 8th grader said to me the other day, which I thought was pretty hilarious. We were talking, and I was asking her, like many people do, how does it feel to be an 8th grader in the oldest type of peer group in the school, just like fifth graders are for elementary school and 12th graders are for high school. And she was like, Mommy, it really is not that serious, not that big of a deal. People always say, like, oh, the 8th graders, everybody else looks up to them. The 6th graders and 7th graders want to be like them and they have to set the example. And she was like, Mommy, seriously, nobody really cares. You know, we do what we do, whatever, they do what they do, but nobody's really looking up to us. And when I was in 6th and 7th grade, I had a few 8th grade friends, but they graduated and went on to high school and did their thing, and I wasn't really looking up to them. They were just cool people. Some of us are mature, some of us aren't. Some of us are about our business and doing our work in academics, some of us aren't. And I chuckled because, she made a really good point. A lot of times we say that to kids, and especially in schools, we're always like, you're the oldest, be an example. And it is true, we mean it. I know in elementary, little kindergartens and first graders look up to the third graders, and the third graders look up to the fifth graders, and it's a big deal because they get to do things like being patrols and being on the morning announcements and doing the TV shows and going to the dances and all that other kind of stuff. So it is kind of cool when you get older, and the same as in high school. When you're a freshman, you can't go out for varsity teams usually, and then you become a sophomore and you have to work really hard to get on teams, or there's kind of like a pecking order, or even some classes you might be bright enough or have the skill set to take them when you're younger, but because you're a freshman or sophomore, you can't do the things that juniors and seniors can do. When you're a senior, you have a totally different schedule. Sometimes you can go out off campus for lunch and have all these kinds of perks. So there is something to that. But I think in middle school, it's kind of like, look, sixth, seventh, and eighth, and people just are trying to get through and get finished. And I think that's what she was trying to say. But I can knock her hustle. I just thought it was kind of funny that she mentioned that because I was saying the same thing to her. I said, are you excited about being an eighth grader? Do you feel different being an eighth grader? Or is that a thing now? And she was just like, no, not really. She's just, doing her work, doing her best, trying to work things through. So I thought there was something to that. And then on that end, or to that end, I was just thinking about how we do things with kids and how we speak to siblings, and always kind of put more of the responsibility on the oldest child. And the oldest child is the first child. And in many cases, they're either the golden child, or they're the like, we didn't know what we were doing, so the next ones will turn out better. But oftentimes, they bear the brunt of the responsibility. They have to be like the little mini parents and do everything just so, because they are the example for the younger siblings. And if something goes wrong, it's the oldest child's fault because they are the example. I'm sure many oldest children are kind of like, I just happen to be born first. So why in the world was this responsibility given to me? It's not fair. But, it is what it is. I don't know. And then, of course, you have the baby of the bunch, who is always seemingly the baby of the bunch, regardless of their age, and always has those little quirks. And then the folks in between are just trying to work it out, whether there's one or three or four or however many. There's always some interesting dynamic and ambiguity, and just something that only middle children can appreciate. I myself was raised as the only child, so I don't have all of the dynamics of the oldest, youngest, and middle. I think I'm kind of a little bit of all of them. But because I have 3 children, I definitely see daily the oldest versus middle versus youngest and how that breaks down. And of course, they're also all girls, so of course, that's a whole nother dynamic. But it's just an interesting thing to note. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm almost at the 5 minutes. I'm sorry if I sound tired because I really am. But I just thought that that was an interesting thing to note. And I do think it makes sense for high schoolers and elementary schoolers. Maybe not middle school, but, you know, maybe in somebody's middle school, the eighth graders with the top dogs. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe everybody's just trying to get through that awkward phase and move on with their lives. All right, take care.